The Grand Traverse County Board voted 5-4 to pledge the full faith and credit behind the $71 million bond for airport expansion. Those voting in favor were Commissioners Morris, Seifert, McAllister, Henschel, and Nelson. Opposed were Andrews, Walter, Flynn, and Spence. The discussion was detailed and long. Jim Horn will try to distill the discussion into the most relevant points, starting first with the public comments followed by the board discussion.
Jim Horn, and welcome back to Traverse Talks. This was one heck of a county board meeting on Wednesday, December 3rd. I know. The big item on the agenda was the airport expansion and whether or not the county would give its full faith and credit to the backing of this bond. In my opinion, as you look at the conversations that went back and forth, the commissioners that were in favor of this, and I'm going to let you listen in to, what was said on both sides, those commissioners opposing this versus those commissioners that were in favor of this. What really sold this thing, I believe, was the idea of there's a community commitment to the airport, and the county needs to get behind this community input. And consequently, just backing this bond is just one small thing. And there didn't seem to be any concern from the financial people as to whether we would drop our credit rating. Anyway, let's listen in. First up is public opinion. I'm going to let that run through so you can understand what the public had to say. This was first up at the beginning of the meeting. So here we go.
You know that any bond issue has risk. And more to the point, you don't have a good way to evaluate. None of us in the county are experts on airport management. None of us have a good way to evaluate their assumptions. The second point is they have asserted that there's no cost. Again, that's not. You have major projects ahead of you. You have not yet quantified the cost.
Expanding the airport might help that, but are we going to actually expand staff? Is the authority going to monitor that? I mean, growth is what's happening to Traverse City. We need to be mindful and wise about it. And frankly, putting all the burden on the taxpayers for all the growth and the residents is just not wise at this time. This needs to be rethought, and a broader community discussion needs to be had. Very little community input has been able. Yes, there's been public hearings and plans out there, but this is a big deal for the city of Traverse City and the region. And I think it needs further discussion before any approval by you. Thank you for your time.
A 700-page packet is ridiculous. This agenda is a 6-hour agenda and really should not attempt to do this much stuff in one meeting. For today, I would like to draw your attention to page 634 in the packet, FIA financing. For the second series, we estimate the following result. They don't have TIFIA financing right now. As someone who is risk averse, I don't care what this chart says. I want to know what happens if they don't get this financing. The first word on this slide, alternatively, implies that there was a previous slide in the original PFM presentation, which probably had the version with showing the coverage ratio without that finance. That's the slide that I want to see. It's not included in your packet. In previous versions of this, the coverage ratio was shown as greater than 2. This one shows it at 1.5. That's a little bit concerning. I didn't care very much about showing confidence intervals when it was at 2 or over 2. At 1.5, I care a lot about confidence. That's a computational risk assessment that today is very easy to do. It's been included in consumer retirement portfolio analysis for 15 years. It should be included in this. Thank you.
Okay, up next is Commissioner Flynn. She voted against the full faith and credit. Let's listen to Commissioner Flynn.
I love the airport. I fly out. It's convenient. It's great. I love the economic power that it has, the effects it has. It's grown this community. I also grew up near Bishop Airport that it was also moved out, a little bit out of the way. My parents grew up by JFK, so the sounds don't bother me. And I want to make plans for the future. And I hope that boards in the future respect and appreciate and understand our decisions. I have trouble sometimes in the planning decisions of past boards who did not prepare for our infrastructure needs and our housing needs when we had planning, master plans, strategic plans decades ago saying this is what we needed. I love the staff and the leadership of the airport. I respect you all tremendously. I think you do all such a great job. Like my dad always says, I would love to have a beer with you. But I also have to listen to my constituents who have major concerns about this. So I will say that I will, at this current time, vote no on giving our full faith credit.
Commissioner Nelson.
Okay, so up is Commissioner Nelson. He is on the NRAA board, so you would expect him to be soliciting for approval of this. And so here is Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you. I want to thank all the people that the constituents have been emailing in with comments, and the frustration is, and I understand their frustration with what they think but there's been a lot of misconceptions out there. There's been a lot of, once a narrative kind of gets created, there's things that aren't really true. But I want to point out and why I support this, amongst some of the other things we've already said, and the financial plan is good. But the county, the airport is not asking the county for money. A lot of people think that it's money coming from the county. Airline terminal, this goes to the need. A lot of people say we don't need the. In 2026, that airport terminal that we are currently using is going to be at 3 times its design capacity. 3 times design capacity. That's not a good situation. In our community, we have, even in this meeting, gone forward with help with community block grants, everything else. This is a way for us to partner with the airport to give the airport a $16 million in savings. It helps make this project more desirable for things like the TIFIA funds. If the county doesn't support this full faith and credit, that 30 million potentially or 23 million TIFIA funds possibility is lessened. That might not happen just because of that. And we want our community partners to be able to go out and get these kind of funds. So I don't want to, they want to see that the community is in support of this. If they don't have that, they've got to shore it up in other ways. And some of these other free monies that are possible aren't going to happen. We are looking into the future. And I have committed to any vote I make, I'm trying to look 20 years down the road, we'll be able to look back at it, say it was the right thing to do. A lot of times it's easy to chase the headlines, but I've been on this board long enough that we've made several very controversial votes, and every one of them has come out, we've landed sunny side up, and it's been a good thing. And I'm committed to that. This is the same thing. So I hope that my fellow commissioners will give this good, careful consideration and vote in favor of it. I think it's really important. Thank you.
Commissioner Morris and then Commissioner.
Okay, this is Commissioner Penny Morris. She's got some comments. Once again, she voted in favor of the proposition, in favor of the full faith and credit. Here she is.
Line. I hear the details. I hear the financials. But 2 things. One, I know enough to know what I don't know about financials. And so I must listen to the experts. And county, we support regional growth. And there's nothing like the airport being both an economic driver and an economic supporter. And I really feel that as a partner that I do support this. I feel that, or I believe, and, I feel like a lot of times we put, it's either this or that, this project or that project, but, we're a good team and we can figure this out. It doesn't have to be an either or. I'm a both and kind of person. I believe that we can make this happen. And so I am going to support this. And I do not believe it would hurt our credit rating.
Okay, so there you have Commissioner Morris. And you can sort of understand the theme that is running through these commissioners' opinions. Here's Commissioner Henschel.
The airport brings to the taxpayers and voters of Grand Traverse County. It is a regional airport located here, and so we bear the infrastructure costs. We build the roads that lead to the airport. That's land that's not on our tax base because it's our airport NMC, much like the hospital. So we're a regional hub. So we do bear those costs. But by having people from surrounding counties coming, it creates an efficiency that lowers the cost to our residents. And the airport is a great example of that. Right now you can get round trip to Florida for under 100. You can find those. Last week I looked, round trip to Paris, France from Traverse City, not from Detroit, from Traverse City, starting at $513. You can get a round trip to Europe.
I think I'm going to look for those tickets. Wow, $513. Anyway, next up is Dean Bott and how he got into the conversation. He is not on the commission, but he's the chief financial guy. And once again, it's a tie back to the community spirit with his presentation. Apparently, they were trying to get a bond for road work and so forth, and they used the airport as a little bit of leverage, or maybe a lot of leverage. Anyway, here is Dean Bott.
If I could add too, back in late 2023, Mr. Burke and I worked on the county road commission bond issue, about an $11 million bond issue. Mr. Burke worked very hard when we rated that with S&P to get our bond rating upgraded a notch from AA to AA+. And we leaned on the airport of the effect that they have on not only the local economy, but the regional economy. And it was the airport driving that economic impact that helped us get to a large extent that increase or improvement in our bond rate.
So there is Dean Bott, and following is Commissioner Andrews. And I think she sums it up pretty well for the opposition. So I'm going to let her take over from here.
How long are we inconvenienced and why? And those are all relative questions that I think as a community we should have a discussion around. How often do we want to let people be inconvenienced? But what we are seeing is that despite the inconvenience, people are still flying. So the numbers keep going up. So I don't doubt that there is some need for expansion. I just don't know what the cost-benefit analysis looks like. And I certainly am not convinced that there's no risk here. I think there's risk. I think anyone who tells us that there's no risk is not being genuinely honest with us. There is risk. You can't incur debt like this for a project like this in a community that's as seasonal as this without incurring some risk. And for me, when you have risk, it's a question of who should be allocated that risk. And as I have made very clear my position, I believe that the people who should be allocated that risk are the people who fly and not people who pay property taxes in Grand Traverse County.
So there you have it, folks. I've tried to distill this down into something that's understandable. You can understand, hopefully, the people that were for it. They weave the community thread in there, so they felt comfortable, voting for the bond or the full faith and credit. Whereas rightfully, the opposition stressed the issue of risk. And going forward, that will always be the situation with, these kinds of situations. And hopefully we won't have any particular issues. But I think I'm going to hang on to this podcast for a while to see how things go. Anyway, folks, hey, this is Jim Horn. This is Traverse Talks. And we appreciate you for listening. Have yourself one great day.